Hi, how are you?
I'm really good. Thank you very much.
Yes. Are you in London at the moment, or where are you?
Yes, yes. This is my the warehouse where I'm living at the moment in North London. So it's a cool place. I feel like I'm getting lost.
How did you find your co-actors and who was the cameraman?
It was really easy. I mean, finding my co-leading actress was possibly the easiest thing in the whole film. It was a case of the first DOP that I was working with at the time, who is not, by the way, the DOP that I ended up working with in the end. But he put up an ad on shooting people, and a few actresses apply, and Agathe was one of them. And as soon as I saw her picture, I was like, that's her. And we had 2 meetings in Covent Garden, Central London, and my auditioning her purely consisted in sitting down at a table for a whole day from 11 in the morning to 6 in the afternoon. And we talked. I told her everything that was going on in my brain at the time, which was kind of exploding. You know, I felt like both my heart and brain were exploding. I didn't have a script. I had a concept. I had an idea. I wanted to improvise the film. It was crazy. It was messy, but I was, in this kind of like possessed state. Well, so behind the camera was my fantastic DOP. Here we are. Fantastic man, and it took me a very long time to find him, but when I found him I was like, yes, this is you. Yeah.
You told me that you recreated your own emotional story.
I mean, yeah, to be fair with you, I don't feel like it was very hard, because that was essentially my life and what I was going through at the time. And if anything, making this film was my way of surviving that life phase. So I kind of felt like it was my therapy. It was therapeutic for me. It was cathartic. I had to get rid of. It was my way of expressing everything that I was, and processing and metabolizing everything I was going through. And I felt like emotionally I wouldn't have been able to cope with that without making the film, if that makes sense. So
I was wondering, because you call it borderline, is that something actually, have you been diagnosed with this? Is that really an issue? Or did you call it because it's kind of really kind of somehow tipping point between something which is unbearable and something, or what is it?
That's exactly the point. Borderline has so many meanings in this, and I guess you just hit the nail on the head there. Life, but every time I was diagnosed with it by a therapist, there was suddenly somebody else coming in, with usually a different therapist, stepping in or seeing me afterwards and saying, no, you're not. So it was always a matter of like making a diagnosis and then rejecting it and then denying it and then saying, nah, that's not. And this is exactly the point. So I don't really believe in labels. And I think that these definitions are primarily used by therapists to simply make their job easier and to suddenly identify a type of patient and say, here is how this person has, this individual needs to be treated because they are presenting a number of traits that are typical of. And that's all really good if it's aimed at making, helping them, making them better, but it normally isn't. And in a way, it's almost like when I found acting, my problems in a way disappeared, as in like my eating disorders disappeared completely. But it was still, that restlessness was still going on. I was still looking for something, but I finally knew who I was. I finally knew who I wanted. And so there was a this sense of calmness and peacefulness, if that makes sense.
So your film was in LGBT festivals in Germany?
Yes, yes.
So in general, do you think that LGBT films are still marginalized in Hollywood and mainstream film or TV?
No.
What's your perspective actually on that?
No, I honestly don't think so. I mean, obviously, LGBT films have a very specific audience, which is LGBT. So I really don't think they're marginalized. I just think they have a smaller audience. And I'm not really sure that I will meet, the average commercial LGBT taste, because I think the vast majority of lesbians are going for other films very different from mine, but also because I don't really see my film as an LGBT film, to be honest.
Yes, you mentioned that. Yes.
I would like to change the ending of my film right now, change it to somebody who wasn't able to get anything out of her pain, but still found joy and happiness. So in a way, I'm a little bit upset about that end, because it's almost leading people into thinking, oh yeah, okay, so she's happy now because somebody's gonna publish her novel. What if nobody's was gonna publish her novel? Would she commit suicide? No, she would have.
That's gonna be the second
borderline.
It is consciousness that makes the mind unease. Making sense of it deserves a first degree. You're so treacherous, you've always been that way. I'll swipe away that smirk and grind you in the dirt.